This is Benny Anderson, co-writer of all the ABBA songs, and I asked him, was he proud of the fact that his songs are still current, being played on the radio, and have passed the test of time?
Yeah, and I mean, the way the music journalists talk about it these days is, I tell you, quite a difference from what they said in the 70s. So I guess, but we always felt, you know, from colleagues in the business, colleague musicians, we always felt that they sort of understood that we had a serious approach, very much alike that theirs. And I'm talking about, you know, various people who you would never dream of listen to our songs, like Led Zeppelin and others. So that was a great comfort when the guys in New Musical Express would, you know, tell us to go away.
And the pressure of writing a hit, could you explain to us that pressure? Because when you're at the top, it's hard to stay there, isn't it?
We never felt that pressure because we had complete artistic freedom, obviously. After Waterloo, we had our own record company and our own studio, and there was absolutely no one breathing down our necks at all. So Benny and I would, you know, write away for as long as it took, and every time just trying to write something slightly different, take one more step forward, and in constant search of that, you know, the most wonderful of songs. And that's what we did. We didn't think of, will this be a bigger hit than Fernando? Will this be a bigger hit than Mamma Mia? We would just think, if we came up with something good, oh really, this is wonderful. It's going to be great to record this. Because I swear to you, what we wrote was exactly what we wanted to write most at that very moment.
And Benny reckons that 95% of what he writes is rubbish. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, you write all the rubbish in order to find the jewels. And in order to find them, you need to go through the rubbish. That's a simple truth. Which is why I worry today, songwriters today, if they will have the time to hone their talent and to become really good, because that takes a lot of time, and it seems that everyone is in a hurry to write something and release it because they want to go on tour or something else. And I wish that every songwriter would have the same situation as we did and do, in that you can sit for days and weeks on end and just work and work away and throw away the rubbish, and then suddenly it comes the diamond, and then you recognize it.
I just want to talk about you as a child firstly. Were you always a musical genius?
I never was, and I am not to this day.
All right then, did you always love music? How about that question?
Yes. I think I liked it from the very beginning, but what I remember most was when I was 12 and I was given my first guitar, because we're starting a group, a skiffle group.
When I think about skiffle, I always think of Liverpool. How influenced were you by the Beatles?
Oh, the Beatles are gods. And I think both Benny and I owe the fact that we are writing songs at all to the Beatles, because we were both in groups that did sort of covers. And then the Beatles came on the scene, and all of a sudden we realized that it's a group. They're in a group. They're in a band, but they're writing their own material. Maybe we can do that too. And so the idea came to write your own stuff, as with so many people around the world at that time. We owe the Beatles so much.
Do you ever contemplate the fact you're up there with the best?
It's a very strange thought, one that I can see ourselves being up there with Queen, but with the Beatles. No, that's too much.
So in your mind, they're in a different league?
Yes, they are. Absolutely.
Does it ever become normal, the fact that you can drive down Las Vegas Boulevard and switch on the radio and there you are, and then you travel over to New York and you drive down Broadway and there you are, and then you go down the Strand in London and there you are, and then in France, there you are. It's very odd, isn't it?
It's very odd, isn't it? I agree completely. I think I can never get used to that. We did the sound mixing of Mamma Mia the movie in the Brill building on Broadway, and just opposite is the Winter Garden. And every time I went out those doors, I was just looking at my name in 1.5 meters size, and it's quite incredible, and it's unreal. It's something I don't think you never can take naturally, never really grasp 100%.
And what's interesting about you is you don't believe in God. So what I want to ask you is, where do these melodies come from?
The melodies come from out there. And it's a religious feeling to receive them from outer space. But no, I don't believe in a God. On the other hand, I will never say that there is no God. I'm a pragmatic secularist. I don't like the word atheist. I feel it's wrong that someone who doesn't know whether there is a God or not should define himself. It's the one who believes there is a God who should define himself. So it's the theist who should say he's a theist, and he who doesn't know, well, he's just someone who doesn't know.
And I don't get the feeling you ever caught up in the hedonism of it. I spoke to Benny about the fact that we never saw you falling out of clubs or front of the papers taking drugs. How did you manage to keep a level head when so many others didn't?
Well, to begin with, I mean, we were two married couples. And we had like 10 years of domestic careers before in Sweden, careers that nobody outside of Sweden know about. And so during those days, we did, a lot of that, which you just described. So, in other words, in a way, we had done it. We'd been there. And for us, it was far more interesting and we didn't tour that much. We wanted to go home to our families. We had kids, and we wanted to go back to our studio and all of that. And so it's just never happened. And it's incredible, I cannot remember once during that time with ABBA that anyone came up to me and said, do you want to buy some? I've got some nice stuff here, do you want to buy? Never. It didn't even happen. Maybe there were people around us who got rid of those. But isn't that strange? You talk to other groups in the 70s. You talk to male rock groups in the 70s. Oh, different story.
And very finally on this, the pressure it put on your relationships. Do you think you'd still be together today if ABBA hadn't have happened? Do you think it put a pressure on the relationship that basically was just too much for you all to handle?
I think that Agneta and I probably would have split up 5 years earlier if it hadn't been for the group. because there's far more pressure on a marriage if the husband or the wife is out there and having a great success and traveling the world with all these temptations that there are out there. That would have put pressure on a marriage far more than if you're out there with your husband or your wife. So that's what I think.
Let's look back then 25 years or so. Do you have any bad feelings about ABBA? Was it just a great experience, or is there any regrets?
No, I can't think of. Sometimes we did do the wrong television show, and we shouldn't have done that. Perhaps we released the wrong single, but that's such. That doesn't mean anything. And there was nothing really strategic, nothing big that we should have done differently. No, I don't think so.
it kind of underscores the fact that you are a musician, aren't you? You're not really a showbiz tart that wants to be out there being popular.
No, that's right. You're absolutely right. It is what we have created that I'm so proud of, and I'm dying to present. To hear that stuff sung from the stage and sit down in the audience and feel how the audience reacts. It's, it almost beats being up there on stage.
My final question has to be this. How does it feel knowing that 100 years after you've gone, we're still going to be playing your records on the radio?
Well, I don't know that, do I? And I never certainly think about that.
It's a nice feeling, though, isn't it, to know that people still care, because not many artists from the 70s particularly are being played today. A lot of that music is forgotten, because as time moves on, we care less and less.
Yeah, that's right. Which is why I always ask myself the question, and Benny too, why us? When there was so much good in the 70s that is now almost forgotten. I don't understand it, but I'm very proud and very pleased it is the way it is.
Thank you for allowing me in your home. Thank you for talking to me. It's been a great honour and a pleasure. And to me, a living legend is such a thrill, because you've given so much happiness to so many people. And when I go around clubs doing appearances or whatever, and they bang your records out at the end of the night, I can assure you there's not a dry seat in the house. Everybody's on their feet. Mm-hmm. Do you ever think about that when you're lying in bed, wondering how many people are boogieing to Dancing Queen around the world?
Oh, that's quite a thought, isn't it? I think I'll think about that tonight. I'll look at my world watch and see what the time is in New York, what the time is in Sydney, and so forth, and I'll know.
I wonder if there is a minute of the day somewhere in the world where one of your records isn't being played on the radio. That'd be interesting to find out, wouldn't it?
That's also very interesting. And I guess you actually could find out. If you wanted to.
We look at your PRS checks, we could find out.
Yes, exactly.
Bjorn, thank you so much for talking to me. And again, thanks for letting us into your beautiful home. What a life, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.